ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। Since this is the discourse on Hanuman Chalisa, let us all chant Hanuman Chalisa in the beginning together. The request would be that I know only one tune, so please try to sink in with me rather than taking off into your tune. Then I will neither know that tune or this tune. So please be with my tune and chant loudly. Shri Guru Charan Saroja Raja Nij Man Mukur Sudhari बरनऊ रघुबर विमल जसु जोदायक फलचारी। बुद्धिहीन तनु जानिके सुमिरो पवन कुमार बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि हरहु कलेश विकार। जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर जय कपीस तिहु लोक उजागर। रामदूत अतुलित बलधामा अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा। महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी। कंचन बरन विराज सुबेसा कानन कुंडल कुंचित केसा। हाथ वज्र और ध्वजा विराजे कांधे मूंज जनेऊ साजे। शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन तेज प्रताप महाजगवंदन। विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर राम काज करिबे को आतुर। प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबे को रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बसिया। सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सियहि दिखावा विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा। भीम रूप धरि असुर संहारे रामचंद्र के काज संवारे। लाय सजीवन लखन जियाए श्री रघुवीर हर्षि उर लाए। रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई तुम मम प्रिय भरतहि सम भाई। सहस बदन तुम रोजस गावे अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावे। सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा सहित अहिसा। जम कुबेर दिक्पाल जहाते कवि कोविद कहि सके कहाते। तुम उपकार सुग्रीवहि कीन्हा राम मिलाय राजपद दीन्हा। तुमरो मंत्र सब जग जाना जुग सहस्र जो जन पर भानु। लील्यो ताहि मधुर फल जानि प्रभु मुद्रिका मेलि मुख माहि। जलधि लांघि गए अचरज नाही दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते। सुगम अनुग्रह तुम्हारे देते राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे। होत न आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे सब सुख लहे तुम्हारी सरना। तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना आपन तेज समारो आपे। तीनों लोक हाँकते कापे भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे। महावीर जब नाम सुनावे नासे रोग हरे सब पीर। निरंतर हनुमत वीरा, संकट से हनुमान छुड़ावे, मन क्रम वचन सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा, तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा, और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे, सोई अमित जीवन फल पावे। चारों जुग परताप तुम्हारा, है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा, साधु संत के तुम रखवारे, असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे। अष्ट सिद्धि नव निधि के दाता, असबर दीन जानकी माता, राम रसायन तुमरे पासा, सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा। तुमरे भजन राम को पावे, जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे। अंत काल रघुबरपुर जाई, जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई। और देवता चित्तन धरई, हनुमत से सर्व सुख करई। संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा, जो सुमिरे हनुमत बलवीरा। जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई, कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई। जो सत बार पाठ कर कोई, छूटहि बंदी महासुख होई। जो यह पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा, होय सिद्धि साखी गौरीसा। तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा, कीजय नाथ हृदय मह डेरा। कीजय नाथ हृदय मह डेरा। पवन तनय संकट हरणा, मंगल मूर्ति रूप। राम लखन सीता सहित, हृदय बसहु सुरभूप। सियावर रामचंद्र की जय, पवन सुत हनुमान की जय। उमापति महादेव की जय, बोलो भाई सब संतन की जय। If the rope was tied on the other side, then I would have thought that I have a captured crowd. So for now, it is only the speaker that is captured. Hari Om. Long time ago, about 20 years ago or 24 years ago, I had the opportunity to speak here in this temple. In the morning, I think it was Dakshina Murti Stotram, and in the evening it was Hanuman Chalisa. So it is a repeat of the same thing. Feels, as I said on the first day that I came, back to the pavilion. Hanuman Chalisa, as the name suggests, Chalis means 40. 40 verses on Hanumanji. Every language has its beauty, and the beauty is further enhanced with its poetry, and the poetry comes in a certain set of meters. So Tulsidas ji here uses two kinds of meters. One is called a chaupai. The first two and the last one. They are called the Chaupai, and in between the 40 verses are called Doha, 2 lines. Like in Sanskritam, when we chant Bhagavad Gita, almost all of it, except in the 11th chapter and couple of verses here and there, except that most of it comes in the Anushtup Chandas, 2 lines, 4 quarters. Similarly here, we have 40 verses in the format of Doha and 3 verses in the format of Chaupai. So therefore this is called Hanuman Chalisa, Stuti of Hanumanji. Who wrote this? This is written by Sant Goswami Tulsidas ji. Sant Goswami Tulsidas ji is known for having written various beautiful works. One of the most famous ones is Ramcharitmanas. I was in one particular country in the West Indies called Trinidad Tobago. People from here were taken or abducted as slaves. Madhya Pradesh, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Jharkhand, these places. And they were into bonded labor. Now suddenly snatched from your culture away by the colonial British Christian mindset, they had not even their clothes with them because they were abducted, put on the ships and taken away. In that entirety of the group, there were 1 or 2 Pandits who knew the entire Ramcharitmanas memorized, and the culture is there that in that particular country, I think even in Guyana and other places, the tradition is that the child is taught before he can learn anything else the entire Ramcharitmanas. So you find a very strange tradition there, a very heartwarming tradition, but a different tradition, that you can recognize who the person is or whether they are a Hindu or not just by walking in that street. Every house has a space for the temple, and it is unlike what we have in Bharat in the apartments, wherein the most unreachable corner of the closet is where we put Bhagwan. Somewhere it has to be. And even though we squeeze Bhagwan in that closet, we are very particular about Vastu, that it should be in the Ishanya Moola, but in a closet. But here, I say it as a heartwarming thing because the houses are designed in such a way that before the house is constructed, the first thing that they do is construct a Devalaya. Every house has their own Devalaya. Small one, but very beautifully decorated. It has nice, beautiful flags, dhwaja. And almost 1 or 2 per family have memorized this Ramcharitmanas. That is the only dharohar, that is the only treasure that they could hold on to in memory of their vast culture and tradition. That was written by Sant Goswami Tulsidas, Ramcharitmanas. Whether it is in the Ramcharitmanas or Valmiki Ramayana, we find that there is an entire segment which is dedicated to one particular personality of Ramayana, which is Hanumanji, and it is called Sundarkand. See the naming also, like I was telling in the morning, never in our culture the naming was ever done arbitrarily. Chinku, Tinku, Pinku, Minku is a new tradition. It was a traditional names that we used to carry, and whenever named there was a sarthakata of that particular name. So this particular segment in Ramayana which describes the valor and greatness of Hanumanji is not called Hanuman Kanda. It's not called Pavanasuta Kanda. It is called Sundara Kanda. Now, who is the most beautiful? The most beautiful is, of course, Bhagavan. Sundare Sundaro Ramaha Sundarischa Sita. Most beautiful is Bhagavan Sri Ramchandraji and Sita ji. It seems Bhagavan himself came and said, more beautiful than me is the Bhakta. Therefore, whether it is Valmiki ji or Tulsidas ji, when describing about Hanumanji's greatness, they called it as Sundara Kanda. Who can be the greatest person than Bhagavan himself? It is the devotee. And none like Hanumanji. Therefore, the entire chapter or segment is named as Sundara Kanda. So, in Ramcharitmanas also, Sant Goswami Tulsidas ji has written a great deal, beautifully narrated, very poetically expressed in the Sundarkanda. Apart from that, he has written various works like say Sankat Mochan, which is also about Hanumanji. Sankat Mochan Namatiharo. When he has already described about Hanumanji in so much of great detail, why did he have to put an effort to write Hanuman Chalisa again? The various stories. One of that which is quite popular is that Sant Goswami Tulsidas ji suddenly had an attack of Vata dosha, Vata roga, that which today we technically call in the medical world as arthritis. So he had that. There is rheumatoid arthritis, there is arthritis. I will not go into the technical details, the doctors can tell you that. But he had arthritis. And Bhagavan himself, Bhagavan Ramchandraji himself, came into his vision and asked him to write one doha per day. And after the 40th day, you will be relieved of your pain. So Hanumanji was remembered. And Tulsidas ji started writing it, and on the 40th day after having written the last doha, finishing with the chaupai, he was miraculously relieved from that pain. Tulsidas ji was smiling to himself, and he prayed to Bhagavan Hanuman and he said, Bhagavan, I have already done your stuti in various formats. Why did you have to force me to go through that particular pain and make me write again this Hanuman Chalisa? So Bhagavan said to him, it seems that this inspiration for you to write Hanuman Chalisa is because the yuga for which you are giving this Hanumanji's Kirti is Kali Yuga. And in this Kali Yuga, they will have everything except time. The first stuti that you have done in the Ramayana is very long. And in Kali Yuga, people will very ardently, devotedly put your work in silken cloth, tie it down, put it on the altar, give arati to it, but never open it. Because it is very long. In the Sankata Mochana, the way you have written is a very difficult chaupai for people. It becomes a tongue twister and it is not that easy. Therefore, the instruction given to you by Bhagavan Shankara himself is to write it in a doha format, in a short format, 40 couplets format, which will be easy for anybody to chant, and in a short time the entire Leela is remembered. Now, fashioning on this, there are so many other chalisas that have been written later. There is Shiv Chalisa, there is Durga Chalisa. You name the deity and you will have a Chalisa. They have all been designed based on Hanuman Chalisa. But the first one to be written in the Chalisa format is Hanuman Chalisa. We know of the northern Indian languages. If you note, I am very specifically saying it as Northern India or Northern Indian languages, rather than saying it as North India and South India. I learnt it when I was working in the American context, because somebody asked me, in your lectures you have been saying North India and South India. Is India divided into two parts? That is when it kind of made sense that in my vocabulary I have to make a very strong change, that it is not North India and South India, it is northern part of India, southern part of India. Because when you say North Korea and South Korea, they are two different countries. North America, South America, they are two different continents. North India, South India, the general impression that it will give is that it is vibhakta. It is divided. It is not divided, it is one in so many aspects. So the northern part of India, predominantly we speak Hindi. And Hindi gets its local flavor. Many people who speak very chaste Hindi, they have a complaint saying, this Bombay Hindi is so rude. Because of the way they speak it. I said, no, it also has its own sweetness to it. Apun jayega tere ko kya padela hai. That language it has its own sweetness to it. It may not look as chaste as the Shuddha Hindi. Even within the Shuddha Hindi belt, we have various dialects. Like say, even for example, Telugu that we speak here predominantly in Andhra and Telangana. I have to now remind myself that Andhra, the greater Andhra was now divided into two and there are two parts. I have to keep reminding myself. It has not yet sunk in. But predominantly this Telugu language, you will have Telangana accent, Rayalaseema accent, Costa accent, Godavari accent. Anybody from Godavari here? Hi. That accent is different. It is though Telugu. You go further north, Visakhapatnam, Srikakulam, that language completely changes. Similarly, in the northern part of India, there is Pahadi, there is Kadiboli, there is Bihari, there is Bhojpuri, and then there is Awadhi. And because of his devotion and spending a lot of time in Ayodhya, Sant Goswami Tulsidas ji picked up the Awadhi Bhasha and he wrote all his works in Awadhi. In all these various dialects of the language, what happens is there is the main language core and it has its own sharp edges. As you speak over a period, the dialect develops in such a pattern that the sharp edges are rounded off and there is a certain smoothness provided to the language. Even in English we find that. Earlier there used to be a formal way. What is happening? How are you? What is happening with you? Now what is happening with you got shortened. And people started telling, now that has become an app also. It is a pun that what is happening with you has become WhatsApp or WhatsApp. WhatsApp has further been smoothened down to WhatsApp. WhatsApp has been further smoothened down to SAP. When I have dealt with those kids in that region, so I had to constantly keep upgrading my vocabulary according to the change that they bring in. Otherwise, I am not cool anymore to interact with them. Similarly, in this bhasha, Lakshmana, you have to twist your tongue to pronounce that Kshmana. So in that language, Awadhi, Brij Bhasha, the smoothening of that word has become, in Khadiboli it becomes Lakhan, in Awadhi and Braj Bhasha it becomes Lachiman. A very subtle difference, but the difference that it gets smoothened out. Another beautiful example is, we must have heard, Bol Bajrang Ki Jai. That word Bajrang Bali, we will deal with it when we come to that word. The actual word which is born out of Sanskritam is Vajra Anga Bala Saman. It's a mouthful. Now you have to say Vajra Anga Bala Saman Ki Jai. Too much. So what did they do? They made it into a Samyukta Akshara by chopping out all the rough edges and making it smoother and sweeter. They said Bajrang Bali. The original word is Vajra Anga Bala Saman. Bajrang Bali Ki Jai. Sita becomes Siya. Ram always was simple. There is no more simplicity that you can imbibe into Ramji. Ram is always Ram. So Awadhi Bhasha, and he has incorporated various words from Sanskritam, even Marathi. In Marathi there is a word called Zevan. Zevan means to eat. He has incorporated such words. One or two Kannada words are also reflecting there. So though predominantly Awadhi, Hindi dialect, he has incorporated wherever required that particular words. So it is actually a universal language vocabulary that he has induced. Now it is said that this Goswami Tulsidas ji, when he was born, he was born with certain peculiarities. What was the peculiarity? That he was born after the complete gestation cycle, and when he was born with nice hair. And usually the children born, as soon as they come into this atmospheric pressure, unable to adjust to it, they start crying. This little fellow was laughing, smiling, giggling. And the shocking part behind that laughing, giggling and smiling was that people saw that he had the entire row of 32 teeth. Usually that is well developed after the initial baby teeth are lost and then you get the 32 teeth. No, he was born with 32 teeth. So the local Panditji, scared of that incident, he said, Ganga kinare choda. So the biological parents left him to be fended on the shores of Gangaji. And it is believed that he grew up in Varanasi on those banks, and many a times Annapurna Devi herself came in disguise to feed and raise this kid on the streets of Varanasi. There was one Sant, Ramadas. He had a great following and he has great influence, and under him there were several Mahatmas that we know of. So looking at him, he said, I have to also learn and be able to chant, read, write properly. And I need to be initiated into something sublime. So he approached Sant Ramdas Ji, and he initiated him into Vedanta, and he very quickly became quite an expert in the entirety of Vedanta, specifically Ramayana. That at a very young age he would go visit all temples and give saptaha on Ramayana. Morning 3-4 hours, evening 3-4 hours. That became his routine, and he was quite popular in his teens as a Ramayana Pravachana Karta. In the Kashi Vishwanath temple, right next to it, there is Annapurna Devi temple. In that Annapurna Devi temple, the priest, head priest, he was quite in liking of this kid who could, without looking into a book, complete the entire Ramayana, Saptaha, one sarga after the other. Looking at his Panditya and the glow on his face, he one day approached Tulsidas ji and said, Beta, would you mind taking my daughter's hand as your wife? Thus he got a family. It is said that very soon after marriage, this particular Panditji used to live on the other side of Gangaji, and he had fallen sick. Tulsidas ji had gone for katha, so the wife was under a dilemma. So she informed the neighbors that these are the keys of the house. As soon as he comes, give it to him and tell him that within 2-3 days I will come back. But this was the first time an orphan grown on the streets who had found love in his wife. Justifiedly so, he was missing somebody very intensely for the first time in his life, and he could not bear it. And he wanted to cross Gangaji to get to the other side so that he could at least see his wife once. And Gangaji was flooding. No boatman was willing to take him across. So it seems he crossed over Gangaji swimming. प्यार के पागलपन में किस किस ने क्या क्या नहीं किया. So Tulsidas ji, he swam across in the overflowing Ganga ji, knowing that it would not be right because he was not invited to that house. Now he has to go in and knock. But he knew where exactly his wife would be staying. He went onto the terrace and there were those tiled houses. So he opened those tiles and dropped himself in, and his wife saw him and she was aghast. He said, "What? 2 days you couldn't wait?" And she scolded him left, right, center. And she ended her scolding with a very powerful statement. She said, "Even if half of this intensity that you show towards me, if you show to that Rama which you are constantly focused on, that Ramji would have given you darshan." And that was it. In his own works he mentions that in the form of his wife, the Guru appeared, giving him the guidance towards the ultimate. अपने को भी बहुत सारे गालियां पढ़ते रहते हैं. But then what do we do? ये लोग ऐसे ही बोलते रहते हैं. And move on. తిట్టేవాళ్ళు తిడుతూనే ఉంటారు. పట్టించుకోకూడదు, సెన్సిటివ్గా ఉండకూడదు, తోలు మందంగా ఉండాలి. విన్నారు కదా ఈ మాటలన్నీ. One word from his wife and that became a turning point in his life where he said, "Enough of this, let me focus and hold on to my Bhagwan Ramchandra ji dearly. Nothing other than Rama." That is how he got transformed into Sant Goswami Tulsidas. And he gave us this beautiful Chalisa called Hanuman Chalisa. Sant Goswami Tulsidas Maharaj ki. जितना श्रेष्ठ हनुमान चालीसा है, उतनी ही श्रेष्ठ संत गोस्वामी जी की भी जीव चरित्र. Maybe it will inspire us to have that same vairagya and dedicate ourselves to that which is the very cause for human birth. What is the purpose of human life? We start narrating a lot of lists. None of them matter. Muktaye natu vastu upalabdhaye. The parama dharma of a human life is the chaturtha purushartha, the fourth purushartha. Not dharma, artha, kama, but it is the moksha. In Viveka Chudamani, Adi Shankaracharya ji in the very third shloka he says, "Jantunam nara janma durlabhamataha pumstvam tato viprata." Jantunam nara janma ati durlabham, the most rarest. So somebody asked me, if it is that rare, why are we having this population explosion? It is contrary to what you are saying that it is rare. I said, in the past, where should have been the animals growing? The animals should have been growing in the forest. What have we done to the forest? We have chopped it down. So therefore, those that were to be born as the animals, Narayana. Therefore, when we call out somebody's personalities, we say if somebody is a person who is only focused on eating and sleeping, what do we call him? Pandila tintuntav. If somebody is lazy, God will somberla kuchhogote. When I personally feel that it is not justified that we insult the animals. There is a very beautiful verse in Telugu. ఆడిన మాటను తప్పిన వాణిని గాడిద కొడక అని తిట్టగా విన్న ఆ గాడిద అయ్యో వీడా నా కొడకని ఏడ్చెను. వాటికి కూడా ఒక స్వాభిమానం అంటూ ఉంటుంది కదా. You didn't understand. हाँ, दिख रहा था कि 2-3 लोग. So somebody was scolding his son. In each language it is a different animal. In Hindi it would have been उल्लू के, मैंने नहीं बोला. In Telugu it is गाडिदा, donkeys. So the donkey which was nearby heard it and it started crying. It said, no, don't blame me for this. I am better than this. One little scolding from wife transformed this individual into a great Mahatma, and given by him is this Hanuman Chalisa. Without wasting much time, let's get into it. The first 2 chaupais. Shri Guru Charan Saroja Rajana Mukura Sudhari Bernau Raghubara Vimala Jasu Jodayaku Phalachari Buddhiheen Tanu Janike Sumirau Pavana Kumar Bala Buddhi Vidya Dehu Mohi Harahu Kalesa Vikar. Whenever there is a new work initiated, we first think of Bhagavan, specifically our Ishtadevata, our Guru Maharaj, and then begin the work. Like even now, when we started with Sahana Bhavatu Guru Brahma and started. Similarly, any new work beginning, the first shloka or chaupai here is called the Mangalacharan. It is the stuti of Bhagavan, Ishtadevata and Guru. We all know Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Moodhamate Samprapte Sannihite Kale Nahi Nahi Rakshati Dukrum Karane. He could have said Bhaja Krishna, Bhaja Krishnam. Govinda is Krishna only, right? But he used that word as a pun that both Bhagavan as well as his Guru is worshipped in that little 2 words. Bhaja Govindam. Govinda Bhagavan Krishna. Govinda is Govinda Bhagavat Padacharya, who was his own Guru. Similarly here, Shri Guru Charana Saroja Raja Nija Manu Mukura Sudhari. To understand these 2 lines, whenever there is a mirror, a glass surface that has to be cleaned, Mukuru is, it is not Muruku, it is Mukuru, is a mirror. when the mirror is abused, usually there is lot of spots of our artistic way of brushing our teeth, sprinkles on it. Many of the mothers, that is a nice placeholder for their bindi. So the gum, the dust which settles on that gum in English for that bindi, gum in Hindi for that mirror. So when lot of dust settles on the mirror, how does one clean it? So the best method is, you have the bhasma, vibhuti, mix it in water and sprinkle it, let it dry, and then take a tissue paper or a soft cloth and just wipe it gently. The bhasma which is dried along with the dust which is on that particular mirror soft smooth surface, it pulls it out and cleans it effortlessly. Similarly, I bow down to the Sri Guru Charana. How is that Guru Charana? It is as beautiful and as delicate as the lotus. Shri Guru Charana Saroja Raja. Saroja is the lotus. The lotus like feet of Guru Maharaj. I invoke his blessings. I take the dust of that feet. That dust, fine dust, I use that on the mirror of my mind to clean the impressions that have been existing and formed for ages, for generations, for lives together. Nija mana mukuru sudhari. And to that Hanumanji, I invoke his blessings and I do this stuti of his so that he can fulfill the 4 purusharthas of anybody who chants this particular stuti daily. Baranou Raghuvara Bimala Jasu Jodayaku Phala Chari. 4 kinds of phala. What are the 4 phalas? Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. See, in our way of Vedanta, there are so subtle concepts imbibed in and through that it is not, the sequence is also important, and the sequence was not given to us as Artha, Kama, Dharma, Moksha. It is always Dharma first, then Artha, Kama, then Moksha. That the entire life of effort should be on the foundation of Dharma only, including Artha and fulfillment of Kama. It is like a river is safely traveling when the banks are strong. Similarly, in life, the movement of life is smooth when the banks of Dharma and Moksha are strong. Artha and Kama find its meaningfulness within the limits, within the banks of Dharma and Moksha. The fulfillment of Artha is in Dharma, the fulfillment of Kama is in Moksha. The intense desire to find Moksha, though we use the word desire, it is unlike the other desires. If we have already included one particular category called kama, moksha should have also been included in there. But the subtlety of difference between moksha as a desire to liberate versus the rest of the desires is such that I have the desire, and whenever I desire, it is for something other than what I have is what I want to possess. So in that perspective, we divide the entire world into two. That which I have and that which I am yet to have. It is not that which I don't have. The desire is that I want that also. So it is yet to be owned. That which I have, I want kshema for that. And that which I don't have, that which is not mine, the entire effort is to make it mine. Moksha, though we call it a desire, is unlike this desire because it is not acquiring something else. It is knowing that which you already are. The desire to know that subtlety of difference makes moksha into its own category. So this karma finds its fulfillment when the individual raises himself or herself to that status wherein the only desire left is to know one's own true nature. And for which the karma has to be performed in such a way that the artha that I am earning has to be spent back as a dharmic activity. That is when they find its fulfillment. Baranou Raghuvar Abhimala Jodayaku Phala Chari. Wait a second. Why did he say that he is describing Baranou, Varnana? Again, smoothened word, Varnana has become Baranou. I am describing and doing the stuti of Raghuvara. Did he mistake? Because this is not about Bhagavan Ramchandra ji. Who is Raghuvara? Raghupura Tilaka is Bhagavan Sri Ramchandra ji. But he is saying, I am describing Hanumanji, but he is calling Hanumanji as Raghuvara. Is this a mistake? He said, no. The first time when Hanumanji went to see Sitaji in Ashoka Vatika, and he appeared in a very small form to Sitaji, Sukshma Rupa Dhari Siyahi Dikhava, when he went in that small form, as soon as she saw him, her heart filled with Vatsalya, she says, this comes in Tulsi Ramayana, she says, Tum more sutta saman. You are like my own child. So when Sita ji has herself adopted him as her own son, hasn't he become Raghukula? And he is one character who is Bimala Yasha. His kirti is such that nobody can point a finger at him and say, this could have been better. We have the audacity to say that Bhagavan Ramchandra ji should have done this in a different way. Sita ji should have done this. We point fingers. Not that it is justified that we can point fingers at Bhagavan himself and Sita ji herself, but we do that. There is one character in entire Ramayana, and when we translate certain words, my request, do not refer to Ramayana and Mahabharata ever as the mythology called Ramayana and Mahabharata. Shame on us if we do that. Because the word mythology, the root word is myth, Myth means fictitious, myth means made up, myth means that which is not real. We call this as itihasa. Itihasa. Like this, as described in here, was jotted down parallelly during that very time. Therefore, it is history. Our Puja Guruji puts it very beautifully. He says it, his story. History is his story. So my request is, when we translate these into English, please refrain from mentioning this as a mythology and refer to Rama, Krishna and these as mythological characters. Unpardonable. Am I clear? So that is one word, please change in your vocabulary. So in that entire epic of Ramayana, if it is not mythology, what should we call it? Call it an epic. The epic called Ramayana, though it is about Bhagavan Ramchandra ji, the most blemishless character is of Hanuman ji. Raghuvar Bimala Jashu Jodayaku Phalachari. Such Goswami Tulsidas ji now identifies himself as a devotee, and he says, Buddhiheen tanu janike sumirau pavanakumar. O Hanuman ji, considering myself as buddhiheen, somebody who is not very mature in their buddhi. Why do you say that? He says, Tanu janike. Because most of us or all of us are constantly interacting with the world outside, being this body. Tanu means Sharira. Who are you? I am this. I am tall, I am short, I am thin, I am fat. Whatever is the description of the body, we usually consider ourselves as the body and function as such. He says that attitude of considering oneself as this body is called buddhihinata. Foolishness. Highest category of foolishness. I'll give you an example. How many of you have come here to this facility on your own vehicles? अपने अपने कारों में कौन कौन आए हुए हैं, कार या टू व्हीलर जो भी हो. Whenever you go into an environment where people don't know you, do you ever introduce yourself with respect to your car? Tata Nexon 2012. Glad to meet you. I am Maruti Suzuki Franx 2010, the model. Do you ever introduce yourself with respect to that vehicle? It is your vehicle. But do you ever refer to yourself with respect to that? Have you ever done that? If somebody does that, what do you call that person? Buddhiheen janike. थोड़ा सा नट स्क्रू कहीं पे ढीला हो गया है, यही मानोगे ना? Why? It is a vehicle, it is a instrument that you are using. How can you end up considering yourself as that vehicle? You may be the owner of it, you may be the user of it, but you can never call yourself that vehicle. Am I getting across? This also is a vehicle. But how do we behave? We behave so touchy that a bald person cannot be called bald. Why? Their feelings get hurt. A fat person cannot be called as fat. Why? Their feelings get hurt. Because they are identified with it. See, look at Ganeshji's Ashtottara Shatanamavali. The first time I learnt Sanskritam when I was very young, and we were forced to do the Ganesh Chaturthi, and I was forced to read the Ashtottara Shatanamavali. So as I was reading, I was chuckling to myself, because for the first time I started understanding the meaning of those words. Lambodharaya Namaha, literally translated pot-bellied Namaha. Shurpakarnaya Namaha, the one who has the ears which are like the sea. Vakratundaya Namaha, usually the elephants have straight trunk, yours is crooked trunked fellow. The funniest was Ekadantaya Namaha. I thought that was the heights of it. Are you praising him or are you teasing him? Why? Elephants have two tusks. He has one broken one. Are you taunting him that you have Ekadanta, meaning the broken one, broken tusk one, or the one who is left with only one? See, all these seem to be blemishes at a human level. He who has transcended that body identification, that very thing becomes his stuti. But we are embedded in it. Therefore he says, Buddhihina tanu janike. And the only way to get out of it is upasana of the Ishtadaiva, Sumirau Pavana Kumar. And then very, very intelligently, he says, why am I worshipping you? He says, Bala Buddhi Vidya Dehu Mohi Harahu Kalesa Vikar. I am worshipping you, O Bhagavan, so that Bala Buddhi Vidya Dehu Mohi. Bless me with these three things. Bala, strength. Buddhi, sharp intellect, and Vidya, Sadvidya. If somebody has extreme strength and no Buddhi, all brawn and no brain, they become a menace to the world. Because they keep taunting and bullying everybody. If that bala has to be rightfully used, there has to be buddhi, vichakshana shakti. But those who have bala and buddhi, look at our past 20-25 years. Each scam that has come out is in multiple thousands of crores. Including grass. So at that time the joke was, Lalu ne chara khaya aur janta ko rabdi khilaya. Because he had to resign and his wife became the chief minister. Grass, which is to be a fodder for the animal. They made a scam out of it. 2G scam. I can go on. All these people, they had power, bala, they had buddhi. What was lacking? Vidya, Sat Vidya, to guide that bala and buddhi into the right channel. Therefore, very carefully chosen words, he says, Bala Buddhi Vidya Dehu Mohi. And Bhagavan, I have tried working on my ego ever since I have learnt Vedanta. One way or the other, this ego is like that virus that creeps into every process that I think is supposed to be a sadhana and converts it into a comparison competition game. You know, I meditate for 1 hour. तो क्या बड़ा उखाड़ लिया भैया? Good for you. I am not like the rest of them. You are supposed to do sadhana to drop that fellow who is claiming it. One day I was in Haridwar, Rishikesh, just to remind me of my own lineage. I go there where the sadhus sit in Pagat and take part in that bhiksha. Because in Chinmaya mission, bhiksha means quite a luxury. Their bhiksha means completely different. So I, just to remind myself, whenever I go there, Kali Kamliwala or Jairam Ashram, there are the places where the bhiksha for sadhus are given. If you are wearing this color clothes, you are welcome. So one day I was sitting between two Dandi Swamis. The comparison of notes was, kitne malaye? How many malas of japa? One said 4, the other said 6. So I came back to my friend's ashram who lives there. So I shared this conversation and he said, what did you think that they were talking? So I said, this person does 4 malas, that person does 6 malas. This person has done so much of japa that he had to replace 4 japa malas. Winding it again and again, they have withered away that they had to change 4 malas. The other person is only 4. I have changed 6. Now, what is this japa? What is this karma yoga? What is this dhyana, puja methods for? To dilute that ego and grow out of it. But we seem to be turning that very sadhana into comparative notes and competition. Who is the fellow that is competing? Isn't that the ego? So Tulsidas says, the ego is a very, very tricky business, Bhagavan. I have tried and I have failed shamelessly many times. You are in the Markata form. You are in the monkey form. Have you ever gone to Yadgir Gutta and such places, Vrindavan? You have to be very careful. There are not just monkeys, very, very calculatively intelligent monkeys. You have to be careful with your specs. You have to be careful with your purse. You have to be careful with your chappal. Why do I call them intelligent? Two-step process. One, if they ever steal your chappal, they know the intelligence that दोनों लेने का फायदा नहीं है. They take one chappal only because they know the other chappal by itself is no use. So these street vendors there, they know how to communicate with those monkeys. Sometimes I feel they have trained it in such a way that their business grows. If the glasses are taken, too fruity. If one chappal is taken, 1 dozen bananas. If your purse is taken, 4 packets of peanuts. This is the running rate right now. As of last year. So the monkeys have this habit of trickily coming and snatching away your things. Hanumanji, you have taken avatara in that Vanara Rupa, known for snatching away. please snatch away this ahankara of mine, which you can do effortlessly. Haraho kalesa vikara. Somebody who doesn't know Hanumanji, they said, this Hanumanji that you are praising, is he really that capable? Is he really that worship worthy? So there goes the description. Jai Hanuman Jnana Guna Sagar, Jai Kapis Tihu Loka Ujagar, Ramadut Atulita Baladhama, Anjani Putra Pavanasutanama. Jai Hanuman Jnana Guna Sagar. I worship and praise that Hanumanji, who is known for his being Jnana Sagara as well as Guna Sagara. In today's world, we force our children to be Jnana Sagara. Values are given in such a way that the child is confused. So the child comes to the conclusion, maybe all of this has to be followed only when I am young. When I become old, I can behave like my parents. Why? My dad says while living in the room, when the door is knocked, he says, tell them I am not here. उनको बोल दो मैं यहाँ पे नहीं हूँ. And the child in his all innocence goes and says, my dad wants me to tell you that he is not in home. Hello. And the atrocious thing, people who bring their children to Balavihar, bring their children to me and say, Swamiji, my child is not street smart. Please teach them something so that they become street smart. Can you analyze what they have just asked? That they are not able to understand crookedness and behave crookedly, teach them how to be crooked. Do you see the disparity? As much as an emphasis has to be given on Jnana Vriddhi, equally or more important that is Guna. Without that Guna, only Jnana will not give Paritripti. And Hanumanji is filled with both Jnana as well as Guna. In today's world, we have too many models, too very few role models. And the best of the role model for us to look up to is not Batman or Superman, it is Hanuman. Because he is filled with both Jnana Sagara as well as Guna Sagara. Jai Hanuman Jnana Guna Sagara. Jai Kapisa. Kapisa means the king of the Kapi clan. Have you ever seen him be coronated as a king? He helped his friend Sugriva be coronated as a king. But was he ever a king? Though you can be coronated as a king, but throughout that Kapi Kula, who ruled the hearts of those Kapi? It was Hanumanji. Uncoronated kingmaker who is actually the king ruling on everyone's heart. Jai Kapisa Tihu Loka Ujagar. You are World famous. Hanuman ji is world famous. In Bombay Hindi they say, a very funny way, they say, तुम अक्का मुंबई में वर्ल्ड फेमस हो. In Bombay you are world famous. No, this is not that kind of fame. Literally, when you travel across the globe, you find Hanumanji's presence in such amazing corners. If you have gone to Bali, Sumatra, Japan, South America, you will see Hanumanji's Vigraha, which is almost close to 20-30 years old, 30,000 years old. Imagine that there must have been some connection wherein Hanumanji's Vigraha are there in all these places. Even locally, where there seems to be a seeming competition or a difference between those who worship Shiva and those who worship Vishnu. Those who worship here will not go there, those who worship there will not go here, those who worship here will not give their daughters in wedding in here. You have seen that, right? But sad part is when this and this are fighting with each other, who is taking the main lead? I'll leave it to your imagination. Though there seems to be animosity, Hanumanji seems to be quite comfortably accommodated, irrespective of what pantha, what sampradaya you follow. In Shivalaya you will find Hanumanji. In Vaishnavalaya you will find Hanumanji. In Shakti places you will find Hanumanji. In Ganapatya places you will find Hanumanji. Tihuloka Ujagara. There seems to be no boundaries to stop him. In all sampradayas he is quite welcome and quite worshipped. Tihuloka Ujagara. What did he introduce himself as to the society wherever he went? See, wherever we go, when people don't know us, we try to drop a name. Do you know this person? That person's so and so, I am related. Hanumanji was very constant. He said, I am to be known, if at all, to be known only as Ramaduta, as the dasa of that Bhagwan who is my master. Usually those who are with the servitude attitude, we say, their Uttar Pradesh is a little weak. Uttar Pradesh is a little weak. Don't consider that he is taken to serving Bhagwan Sri Ramachandra, therefore he is dim-witted. Atulita Baladhama, he is quite capable, very strong and energetic. He is the very storehouse of strength. Quite capable. Atulita Baladhama. And he says, Anjani Putra Pavanasuta Nama. And the next introduction of his is usually when our child for the first time is going out of the city to study, to work, whatever it is, we as parents, what do? We say, wherever you are, this is my old friend or friend's friend, you can go, this is their number, introduce yourself as our child, and you will have a place, a comfort, a network of safety. Isn't it? Anjani Putra. Now, his mother's name was Anjana Devi. In Sanskritam, Anjana also means the eyeliner, katka, kajal. In northern part of India, the men also put सूरमा बोलते हैं उसको, याद नहीं आया? सूरमा भोपाली, हाँ वही. So surma. So that in Sanskritam is called Anjana. That which purifies your vision. What does the kajal do? Yes, it adds beauty to your eyes. Way better than mascara does. Beauty tips. She is laughing. अरे स्वामी जी आपको वो भी मालूम है? What is the main purpose other than adding beauty to the eyes? It is the essence of a particular aushadhi. That when applied, it removes various dosha in the eye, and it purifies it so that our vision is clear. So if Anjana is that which purifies the vision, born out of that purified vision is such Hanumanji. Now let me take completely a different note. If you help somebody and that somebody that you are helping never ever acknowledges that you have helped them, though we know नेकी कर कुएं में डाल, किसको? उस नेकी को. Do good and forget. But yet, when you constantly do good and your services are not recognized, as simple as an example, घर घर की कहानी. You cook food. Nobody appreciates. Something goes wrong once in a while. Everybody is agitated. At that time, in your anger, what comes out as a very first statement? ఇప్పటిదాకా చేసినటువంటి దాన్ని ఎప్పుడు మెచ్చుకోలేదు, నోరు మూసుకొని తిను. आज तक तो कभी शाबाशी दिया नहीं, आज तक तो कभी अप्रिशिएट किया नहीं, आज थोड़ा सा इधर उधर हो गया तो क्या नखरे कर रखा, कहते हैं कि नहीं? चलो इस साइड माताएं बैठे हैं तो इन सबसे पूछ लेता हूं, कहते हैं कि नहीं? We are supposed to be doing that selflessly, but when it is not appreciated, we feel left out, misused, abused, doormatted, being treated as a doormat. Isn't it? Now, if we understand this, let us look at the next word. Pavana Sutta. Pavana, Bhagwan, Vayudeva. Right since the time we were conceived, not born, conceived, right since that time, what is Pavana Devata doing to us? Providing the very life breath. have we ever paused to say, "Oh Pavan Devata, thank you"? That is the difference between being a Manava and a Devata. That he does without anticipating even an ounce of appreciation. That is called Karma Yoga. Attitude of Karma Yoga. That neki karte jao. But then we have our ego. Swamiji, I always do good, but I am always misused, abused and belittled. In such environment I cannot. What should be our inspiration? Pavana Devata. To such a karma yogi was born Hanumanji. To such a purifier was born Hanumanji. What Sreshtatva is that Janma? Therefore, even in his life, he always retained to be the purest, Bimala Jasa, and his karma nishtha was so unique. We will see that. Ram Kaj Karibe Ko Apara, we will see there. That is unparalleled. If at all we have to have somebody as an ideal to follow in life, meticulously, it can be no one less than Hanumanji. The greatest ideal. You take off Karma Yogi, he is a great Karma Yogi. You take off Bhakti, he is Hanumanji. You take off Jnana Nishtha, he is Hanumanji. He Sakala Kala Parangata. There is no skill that he has never adapted himself to. See, most of us, our attitude in life is, hum to aise hi che. I am like this only. Therefore, my output of karma will also be like this only. But Hanumanji is like, wherever, whenever, whatever kind of action, he upgrades himself to suit to that particular responsibility and deliver nothing less than excellence. That should be our attitude in facing life. That if there is a problem that comes into our life, right next to it will be the solution also. Have you ever seen somebody market only locks and no keys? No, Swamiji, I have started a business of locks. They have to be safe, so I have not produced any key. Do you think that lock will be successful? Every lock comes with a key, and it is usually right next to it, provided we have the vision to look at it. That is the samarthata with which Hanumanji, given whatever shade of environment, he would analyze, adapt himself and act according to that situation. A great batsman of our time, Sachin Tendulkar, why do we call him great? Whichever kind of ball is thrown at him, first of all, the balls are coming at 120 to 150 kilometers per hour. We cannot even visualize what it means. Meaning you hear that ball or you see that ball and then it passes by you as a sound, not as a visual. They have to read that ball. Sometimes it is an in-cutter, sometimes it is an outswing, sometimes it is a yorker, sometimes it is a bouncer. They cannot go there and say, I will take only this stance. Why? Hum to aisi ch hai. Apun to aisi ch karega. That attitude will not work. Whatever is the ball that you are facing, you have to evolve in such a way that you not only face the ball successfully, but the success means when you place that ball in between those players so that you can get a boundary. And Hanumanji's life, you can check. Any task given to him, there was never turning back and giving up. Baba, hey, I cannot do this, Baba. Never ever. Come what may. If this has come unto my plate, I will also be blessed with that strength to face it. And face it successfully. See here, he says, Anjani Putra Pavana Sutta Nama. To such a karma yogi, born this great Hanumanji, who was the very embodiment of karma yoga, filled with all attributes, qualities, and readiness to jump into any kind of activity, to find solutions and successfully execute them to get across. Not that the means justify the goal. Everything done in the most dharmic order. Therefore, he is an ideal. Acha, what exactly did he do in his life? So Tulsidas ji says, he will tell us tomorrow. So up until 14th we will continue this and try to go through all the 40 dohas. Now that you have heard, please make sure that those you know as the devotees of Bhagavan, bring them along with you so that they can also bask in the glory and understand the greatness of Hanumanji. Specifically bring your children if it is possible, because it is they who have to understand these values, imbibe them and convert it into virtues. Meaning they have to translate the values into their life as doables, and the inspiration can be nothing less than Hanumanji himself. So bring them along. And in the mornings we have, not in this venue but down there in Guruji's Kutia, there we have the Vedantic discourse on Atma Bodha, which is from 6:30 to 7:30. So if possible, please join us to that as well. We will now say the Shanti Patha and wind up. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhavet, Asato Ma Satgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritangamaya. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate, Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.